What's up, Taiwan? I'm Tiffany Wong with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Thursday marks day 9 of Taiwan's biggest annual war games, and the capital is preparing for the public for a wartime emergency. Taipei has just simulated a Chinese air attack with a half-hour air raid drill forcing residents off the streets. It's part of a series of urban resilience drills being held across the country this week. Our reporter Sandy Chi is on the ground with the military in Taipei. Sandy, tell us what just happened with this drill.
So, a 30-minute air raid drill has just ended in Taipei. From 1:30 to 2 o'clock, operations have been suspended at public and private venues, and the streets were completely empty. And now drivers had to get out of their vehicles and seek shelter, and pedestrians had to avoid walking around the streets during that time. Now, this is a highly orchestrated drill that happens every year. I myself got an alert at 1:30 telling me to seek shelter, and such drills have already been carried out across Taiwan over the past 2 days. This is all part of the annual Kuang military drills that aims to prepare the public and also the military in case of an emergency, such as attack from China. And now, what makes this year so significant is that it's not pre-scripted like before. It combines the one-an drills and also the Ming-an disaster relief drills. And for people in Songshan district, the residents were guided into air raid shelters, simulating what they would do in case of an emergency.
So there have been air raid drills. What else is this exercise simulating?
So currently I'm outside a stadium in Taipei where the government is practicing the distribution of essentials to the public, and selected civilians can come here and purchase them in case of an emergency. The items include oil, rice, and salt. And now this is very important because if there is an emergency, these supplies are likely to get cut off. So people need to keep them in stock. Now today is all just practice. In a real emergency, the government is likely to provide them for free. So today, other than this practice, there will also be other exercises such as first aid training and also disaster shelter and relief operations in other areas of Taipei. So we can see a lot is going on today.
Thank you, Sandy. That was Sandy Chi live in Taipei. Alongside those civilian drills, troops are simulating a war of attrition. They're using public areas to practice fighting back against an enemy that has already captured part of the country. Our defense reporter Jaime Okan reports.
Taiwan's military is practicing what it would do if it lost its airfields and its military bases, using these public parks in New Taipei to rearm and refuel its helicopters in the event of a conflict. In less than 40 minutes, the Army is landing 4 military helicopters, simulating a wartime scenario of an enemy that has already made it inland, leaving their engines on and racing to resupply as quickly as possible. That includes a full tank of fuel, new missiles, and checking to make sure everything is working properly. This specific spot on the bank of the Danshui River runs through Taipei and New Taipei City, a strategic area for the military.
而且从这个地点出发，那陆航比如说在从河道进入的时候，它其实可以获得相当的隐蔽跟遮蔽，增加它这个行动的这个隐秘性。然后飞出去攻击的时候，也可以沿着河道延缓被共军发现的几率。
These drills are part of Day 9 of the annual Kuang military exercises, which simulate how Taiwan would respond to an invasion from China. This year, the drills are larger and more public and longer than ever before, trying to prepare the military for whatever situation might arise. With just 2 days to go until Kuang finishes, the military is making sure that all aspects of its defense strategy are tested, and whether that's in the land, air, or sea, the whole point is to create an effective defense against China. Eason Chen and Jaime Okan in New Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
For more on the Kuang exercises and how these drills improve soldiers' decision-making and preparedness, Alec McDonald spoke with Tony Hu, the former senior director for China, Taiwan, and Mongolia at the U.S. Defense Department.
Do you think Taiwanese soldiers have the ability to be autonomous in decision-making? So let's say there is a lieutenant or a captain lost. Do they have that autonomy and resilience to be able to make quick decisions in the heat of battle?
I think this is an area where Taiwan needs to improve, is provide the tactical guys their tactical objective, and the operational guys, operational and strategic guys, strategic objective, so that within that objective they have freedom of action, freedom of decision. This is an area where I think it's more related to culture, where people feels if I can pass the responsibility up the chain, what should I do? If we did bad, it's your fault because you told me to do this. Where in the US, we push the decision level to the lowest level possible. When you're a lieutenant or captain, you're told this is the objective. How you achieve that objective is up to you, because we have given you the training, the deployment of forces, how to combine your ability to achieve that objective, same at the operational and strategic level, so that the colonel, the general all know what is it I want you guys to do. The bigger picture is this, but you need to do this. Now, Taiwan needs to improve on that.
This is a similar question, is Taiwan's military has no actual combat experience. Now, the PLA doesn't have actual combat experience either, right. But how, in the Hangguang exercises, how do you reach that level so that soldiers react with muscle memory when it comes to actual combat?
This is a great question, and it's happening now. You've seen news all the time that U.S. forces are on Taiwan, training Taiwan, okay? And these are the ones that deployed here are the ones with combat experience. They're passing on U.S. combat experience to Taiwan soldiers. And also you've seen at the battalion level, Taiwan has deployed Taiwan Army to the U.S. for unit level training. 10 years ago, they deployed 3-4 guys to learn and come back, try to teach the entire unit. No, you got to train as a combat unit. Okay, that's happening. And there is a F-16 squadron, Taiwan F-16 squadron in the United States for F-16 training. And every US instructor pilot in that squadron has combat time. And I just visited them just over a year ago. And so these are the things that United States do to pass on combat experience, because combat experience is hard to come by.
That was Tony Hu, former officer at the U.S. Defense Department. You can watch the full interview with him on Zoom In, Zoom Out, available on TaiwanPlus.com or YouTube. We'll be back later this evening with more on today's drills. 2 Chinese Coast Guard ships entered jurisdictional waters around Taiwan's outlying Pratas Island in the South China Sea. The incursion began early Wednesday morning and lasted 10 hours. Taiwan's Coast Guard drove the 2 vessels out. Pratas is a contested island in the South China Sea. China claims the sea in its entirety and regularly sends vessels into waters claimed by other countries. This incursion comes as Taiwan holds its annual Hangguang military exercises. Taiwan is continuing to see a surge in Chinese military activity around the island after an uptick on Tuesday. The Defense Ministry reported detecting 58 Chinese military planes operating near the country in the 24 hours up to Thursday morning. 45 of those aircraft entered Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ. This area isn't Taiwan's airspace, but acts as a buffer zone for defensive purposes. 9 Chinese naval vessels and 1 official ship were also detected. Taiwan's President Ching-te is planning to make stopovers in the U.S. during his August trip to visit allies in Central and South America. According to Bloomberg News, Lai plans to stop in New York on August 4th and Dallas, Texas on August 14th to bookend his tour of Paraguay, Guatemala, and Belize. If confirmed, it would be his first time on the U.S. mainland since taking office. China's Taiwan Affairs Office has criticized the trip and urged the Latin American countries to handle Taiwan-related matters cautiously. Experts say the U.S. is unlikely to send senior officials to greet Lai, as the visit comes ahead of a possible U.S.-China summit. A storm is raging over the rights of migrant workers in Taiwan's fishing fleet. That's after an expose from CNN alleged inhumane conditions at sea. A group of NGOs is now pushing the Labor Ministry to act. John Van Trieste reports.
Taiwan has the world's 2nd largest deep-sea fishing fleet. There's a good chance the seafood in your local supermarket was trawled by a Taiwan-flagged ship. But there are growing concerns about conditions on board for the largely Southeast Asian crews. The story of Indonesian fishing worker Silwanus Tangkota, detailed in a CNN report, has caused a stir in Taiwan and led NGOs to gather outside the Labor Ministry. A human rights activist among them recounts what allegedly happened far out in the Pacific.
他因为一个意外，他的中指跟无名指被压伤之后呢，没办法获得立即的这一个救助。那该船的船长没办法让他立刻获得救助的理由，是因为渔获这艘船的渔获还没有够所以要继续作业。所以导致这个个案呢，他必须要忍着严重的这个痛楚呢，甚至拿这个牙签来刮他的骨头，让他就是说可以避免感染。
The article also alleges a pattern of wage theft, abuse, and counts at least one preventable death. Critics of the article say it focused on a few cherry-picked cases. But activists say systemic failures and a lack of awareness among fishers themselves means, in their words, that this is just the tip of an iceberg.
及沿近海的渔工，他对于台湾的脉络更不熟悉，对于台湾的法令更不熟悉，对于 NGO 以及各项可以申诉管道也更不熟悉。因此，台湾的任何民间团体要收到来自远洋渔工的申诉，其实是更为不容易的。渔工要人权。 渔工要人权，政府别睡觉，政府别睡觉。
These NGOs have 5 demands. Foreign workers in Taiwan's fishing fleet must have the same legal protections as domestic workers. Wi-Fi must be mandatory, so crew can call for help. Inspections at sea are needed to check on the crew. And there's a government push for corporate due diligence and regular labor ministry meetings with activists to promote workers' rights. They put these demands into a symbolic gift package for the Labor Ministry to open and consider. A ministry rep accepts the package and has this to say.
这个我们还是会持续透过跨部会的合作，去检讨改善，去找到一个最好的做法，然后持续去保障以及回应这些相关的诉求。
The Fisheries Agency hasn't yet responded to TaiwanPlus's request for comment, but it has said in an earlier statement that Taiwan has, quote, zero tolerance for labor exploitation. But these activists aren't alone in questioning that. Taiwan's fishing industry has appeared several times on the U.S. Labor Department's list of goods produced with forced labor. And just days ago, the EU sent delegates to call for Taiwan to put Wi-Fi on ships and sign agreements on workers' rights with countries like Indonesia and the Philippines, the home countries for most of the 20,000 crew members. Concerns about migrant fishery workers' rights go back years. NGOs hope the latest controversy will bring a push for real change. Hank Xu and John Van Trieste in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
More record-breaking gains for chip giant TSMC, which is posting second quarter profits of $13.5 billion US. That's a year-on-year increase of 60.7% and is its highest ever. The announcement comes despite concerns over potential US tariffs and a spike in the exchange rate of Taiwan's currency against the greenback. The company's orders have been pushed up by demand for AI chips. Hackers linked to China are targeting Taiwan's semiconductor industry, according to Reuters. The report cites research from a cybersecurity firm showing that up to 20 organizations were targeted in a series of cyber espionage campaigns between March and June. Victims include semiconductor design, manufacturing, and supply chain firms, as well as financial analysts at Asian firms and at one U.S. headquartered investment bank. The 2025 World University Games have kicked off in Germany. Taiwan has sent nearly 200 athletes to compete under the name Chinese Taipei. The team hopes the event will build momentum ahead of the 2026 Asian Games in Nagoya, Japan, and the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. They'll compete in 15 sports, notably volleyball, judo, fencing, and taekwondo. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, have a look at Estonian athlete Jan Rose slacklining between a flying parasail and a motorboat in the Maldives. I'm Tiffany Wong. Take care and see you next time.